We want our kids to be great readers. And when I hear from parents, yes, I want my child to become a great reader, what I'm hearing is not a conversation around academics. And I think that we need to take the conversation in a broader way. When we say, I want my child to love reading or I want my child to be a great reader, we mean I want them to have the same memories that I did cozying up next to a book late at night. I want them to have the stories that they love and they come back to and they read over and over again. I want them to be able to look up information in a book or online and be able to really understand it. I want them to be able to follow their passions and learn new things on their own through reading. We see reading as a lifelong partner and love, and not as an academic exercise in grades K through 12. People don't really talk about math or art or science in the same ways, right? Like when we're saying, I want my kid to be better at math, or I want my kid to feel confident in math, we're not then pairing it with, I want them to do math before bed, right? Reading holds a special place in our heart. It is different. We learn how to read in school, some of us, but it's not a school-based subject. So, in order to get our kid to really love reading and to turn them from a reluctant reader into an eager reader, I think we need to broaden the conversation out of what do they need to know? What letter sounds do they need to know? Which, yes, they need to know letter sounds, and more into how am I going to cultivate this love of reading when it's felt really hard for them so far? When my kid doesn't know the letters, doesn't know how to pronounce words, and actually just won't touch a book that they know is going to be hard for them? Or how do I get my kid to love reading when they know they see all their peers and they see that their peers are good at it and they know that they're having a hard time with it? So, in order to get our kids to love reading outside of academics, we have to think outside of academics. I want to say an aside, which is that if your kid is lacking reading skills, some reluctant readers don't want to read because they're not motivated to read, and some reluctant readers are lacking reading skills. If your child is lacking in their reading skills, we've got to close those skill gaps. Okay, so I'm not saying don't do that or just ignore the skill gaps. Skill gaps are real; they're there usually, and they are a reason why our child doesn't feel confident. 70% of kids will learn to read on their parents' lap, but 30% of kids need systematic and explicit phonics and phonemic awareness instruction. They just do. So if your kid is not already getting that, which they are unlikely to be getting perfectly in school, but they might be getting in school, but if they're not getting that, definitely address it. And then we have to address the motivation and the confidence and the desire, and we have to take that part out of academics. So a lot of us are like, we want our kid to be a better reader. So we're sitting next to them, helping them pronounce a word or asking them to try a little harder or just build up their stamina a little bit more. And all of that is not going to give us that cozy, warm, read a book before bed feeling, or that confident, I want to know more about this, so I'm going to look it up feeling. In order to get that, we have to address reading like anything else that we're learning how to love. So I'll give you one quick tip. In my program, I actually, for the first few weeks of the program, ask for parents to just totally take away the pressure with reading. Don't ask them to pronounce a word. Don't ask them to sound it out. And instead, just create those cozy, warm, loving memories. It can feel hard to do that. You might feel like, oh my God, but it's on me to make sure that they can pronounce these words. And so I am going to ask them to pronounce it because I know that they can and I want them to have practice. What I would like to tell you is that creating those cozy spaces, reading out loud to your kids, even your kids who can read, and looking things up side by side and creating those outside of academic reading experiences are going to do much more for your kid than pronouncing one extra word ever will. So let's think of reading as outside of an academic exercise and let me know how it goes.